Hi, Paul with Dynamics, and today we're going to be opening up these 2013 Dodge Ram headlights and installing Angel Eye halos. Now these are a little bit trickier than most because these use PermaSeal sealant inside, so we're just going to use a higher temperature than usual. We'll start by preheating our oven to 265 degrees. Now before we throw the headlights in the oven, we're going to take the panel off the back just using a socket wrench. There's 5 screws that we have to remove on the back. This customer has drilled a hole for the HID bulb to go through, but you won't have that. Just remove the panel and then remove the bulbs from inside. When your oven's preheated, place the headlight on a baking pan, not directly on the grate, and just put it in the oven. Make sure it's not touching the sides of the oven or anything like that. Just centered in the oven. Then we'll set our oven for 20 minutes. Okay, we're all heated up. Go ahead and remove the headlight from the oven. And leave the oven on because we might need to reheat it a little bit. But go ahead and bring the headlight to a soft surface. We're going to start with the inside edge of the headlight. Use a flathead screwdriver and just start wedging your way between the black backing of the headlight and the clear lens. Just get in and then start wiggling your screwdriver, making sure to lift up around the tabs to unclip them as well. It's a pretty slow process, but just keep working at it. You'll be able to work your way through along the top. Just keep working your way until you can grab underneath the clear lens, at which point you can start prying the lens apart from the backing. You will bend up the black part a little bit, but we're just going to reform that and bend it into shape when we're all done. Once you work it around and get it open, just carefully pull both pieces apart. We'll have to get some force. But once you get it started, you can really just kind of pull the whole thing apart. And there we go. We have our 2 pieces of the headlight. Okay, now we've got just the lens of the headlight. The first step is going to be to remove the entire bezel unit out of the clear lens. Now look around the edge. There might be some black sealant holding in the bezel. If there is, use a small pair of scissors or a knife just to cut it away a little bit. But then you should be able to just lift the piece out. See, also you'll want to wear gloves to make sure that you don't get any fingerprints on the chrome at this point. Now take your Angel Eye ring. This is sized perfectly for the Ram, and we'll kind of position it in place. We'll have the wires going out the top side in order to hide them. When you're looking from the top, you won't be able to see any type of mark or whatever. But once it's positioned where you'd like it, we're going to take note of how big of a hole we need to make for the wire, which is the size of the connector there. And then we're going to make our hole. In this case, we're using a Dremel, a little cutting bit here. This is a very good size just to barely let that connector through. So this is a great tool to use, but you can use a regular drill as well. We're just going to carefully make the cut so that the wire will be hidden directly from the top. Okay, now we'll get it all cleaned up. Okay, now we're going to mount the ring in place. We use a 2-part epoxy that dries in 5 minutes. This is available at any hardware store. Very easy to use and very strong. So just use a little bit and mix it up completely. We'll take our ring. We've tested it out. The rings both match in color. Make sure to do that before mounting anything in place permanently. We'll put the connector through. And now we're going to carefully put adhesive or epoxy all the way around on the ring. These rings are very light, so they really don't require a lot of adhesive. So let's make sure that it is on there. It's quite a bit easier to apply it to the ring rather than to the headlight, because that way you know that you're going to be getting it in all the correct places. Then we're just going to carefully turn it over and pushing the wire through, position it right in place. Once you have it in place, be sure to hold very firmly for about 5 minutes or until it dries. Once you have the ring mounted in place securely, we're going to put it back in the lens, one side at a time. Should just snap back in place. There we go, it drops right in that, just like that. Now take your regulator and plug it into the ring. It only goes in one way. And we're going to reassemble. Set the regulator aside for right now and drop the wires through right above the projector. Right through that panel that we had removed originally. We'll drill a hole in it before we're all said and done, before mounting it back in place. For now, we just want to get the wires to go through. And now we're ready to reseal. So we're going to use a silicone adhesive sealant. We can also use a butyl material like what you'd use to reseal a windshield. In this case, this is just Permatex silicone adhesive. So we're going to put just a thin bead all the way around inside the groove where the original sealant was. So you don't want to do too much, but you do want to get enough to ensure a good seal. Okay, when you have a bead running all the way around the edge, we'll go ahead and position the lens in place. Make sure to watch where the regulator is going as you put it in place, and we're going to make sure to put the outside corner in first because it has a big groove that it needs to go into. So just pull the regulator through as you put it down, and put the outside edge into the groove. And just work your way all the way around. Make sure to line it up perfectly with the back. Just look all the way around. Just kind of push it in place. Now, wherever we can, we're going to use locking pliers to hold the two parts together and to ensure a good seal when it's all dried. Where there's areas that there's nowhere to put your locking pliers on, just make sure that it's nice and secure in place. Hold it there if necessary so it'll stay in place while it's drying. Just make sure it's all the way down into the seal. Also, to make sure to push it down enough to where the tabs snack back in place. So we'll really make sure it's held together. Now here's the dust cap that we removed. This customer has already drilled a hole for an HID retrofit kit, so we're not going to need to drill another hole. We'll just utilize that one. Otherwise though, just make a very small hole in the back, run your wires through, and seal it with the silicone adhesive as well. Now let this dry and cure for at least 24 hours before reinstalling on the truck. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at diodynamics.com. Thanks for watching.